see Mr. Jaffa here also, who ran up and down the lines there at City Park taking pictures of all of you. So if you want pictures, he's got a whole array of pictures that he wants to give away today, inshallah. So without any further ado, we call on Imam Hassan and Mr. Mervyn Johnson to join me. Shukran so much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Very good morning to everybody. Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وإمام المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما، تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تجعل فينا من يتبعنا شقيا ولا محروما ولا مترودا، وهب لنا مسيئنا لمحسننا وعاملنا، وهب لنا بوجهك الكريم يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. واغفر لنا يا الله وارحمنا ولوالدينا ولأستاذنا ولأولادنا ولأهلنا ولأحفادنا ولمن له حق علينا ولمن أحسن إلينا ولجميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and Thee alone do we beseech for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those on whom Thou hast bestowed Thy grace, not the path of those who earn Thy anger, nor of those who go astray. Ameen. Allahumma shfi mardana warham mawtana برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير واجعل واكب أمورنا بالخير بيدك الخير والعافية إنك على كل شيء قدير. ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. دعواهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحيتهم فيها سلام وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Heavenly God and Father, I thank you this morning, O Lord, for this gathering here. I thank you, Lord, for each and everyone present here today. Lord, I pray to you, O Lord, for protecting each and one from the scourge of the virus, and that they all go home safely to the homes, and protect them for this Christmas season, New Year season. Protect them from harm and danger. Lord, their families and friends, their children, keep them safe, O Lord. Bless each and every person here today, O Lord. Let them go home fulfilled that they've been here and not wasted the time to come here this time. I praise you in your Heavenly Father's name, one God, and the Holy Spirit, Father. Amen. Thank you.
A big shukran to Imam Hassan and a thank you to Mr. Johnson. And may Allah accept the beautiful du'as, inshallah. So without any further ado, I'd like to call on the CEO of Spice Mecca, and you all know him very well, Mr. Sharif Abbas, to officially welcome you all here to this amazing function. So please give Mr. Abbas a huge round of applause as he makes his way to the stage. Shukran so much.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. May peace and blessings of the Almighty be upon you all. On behalf of the rugby players, the administrators, the Primrose Brotherhood, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to all of you to this reunion, this reconnection session, this time where I would like to put onto the agenda, as Dr. Umar says, the reimagining of the Primrose Rugby Football Club. It will be amiss of me not to acknowledge certain people and certain groupings. And I want to start right at the top, foremost, Joa Abrams. I call him my president. Give him a round of applause. He was at the helm during my time, and he's the sole reason of me standing here. I was playing in 1976 for Tygerberg Rugby Union with Peter Jooster and Clive Thomas and Julian Smith. Very good players. But I came to Cape Town and I stayed with Joa for about 3 or 4 months. And it was during that time, he said to me, come play for Primrose and come play for City and Suburban. But I was already propositioned at the time by Nochi Khan and Muchi Effendi because they had watched me playing a couple of games for Tygerberg and they wanted me to be in the Western Province Rugby Union. But Joa said to me, do you want to play with Clive Thomas or do you want to play with Said Majid? And I remember very, very clearly, in Kimberley, when Said Majid was playing against Griqualand West for City and Suburban, and when I saw him, I knew immediately that is the person I want to emulate. And when Joa invited me to play with Said, that was one of the best decisions I've ever taken in my life. Said Majid, the mercurial, the man with finesse, and that. But Joa is the main reason why I'm standing here today. Alongside Joa, I want to acknowledge Rushdie Majid. Where is he? Rushdie Majid, he does not recall, but he captained us in 1977 at the Greenpoint track against Western Province. And on time, Henry Meyer scored the winning try. But the extraordinary leadership of Rushdie Majid, unbelievable motivator. People like this cannot go unnoticed and cannot go unhonored. And so we did not lose that game because he didn't lead us properly or we didn't try hard enough. But on the day, 1977, on the Greenpoint track, Western Province just did not want to lose. They beat us on time. We came back in 77, a few months later, and we beat them 12-8 at City Park. And alongside me was Rashad Majid. He was on the radio yesterday, very much underplayed because he played a formidable role in that particular game. And Said on the left side flank, and we beat Western Province on the day. And I will never forget that because that is one of my most memorable moments. And my job was to feel all Qasim Jabbar's up and unders. And that I did that on that particular day. But I also want, in the same breath, I want to talk about a great rugby player, Sadiq Galant. Because Sadiq Galant was sitting in the stands on that particular day. And they took him out of the stands because they had kicked off our hooker. And nobody else wanted to go into the front row and pack in there in the middle. And who did that with aplomb and with formidability was Sadiq Galant. And so, from the second team of Primroses, because our first team hooker was Achmat Masood. With that game, he wrote himself into the annals of history. He was a regular in the city and suburban team forthwith. Then I want to turn to Ismail Moos. I must acknowledge Ismail Moos. If there's one person at Primrose that epitomized for me values, principles, ethics, it was Ismail Moos. And I remember you for all because you always stood for the truth and that which is right. You were not going to do anything that was going to advantage the club but be immoral. And you will and shall be rewarded for that, and an honor must be accorded on you. Give him a hand. UC Jacobs is here. UC Jacobs, unbelievable, ever-present supporter. When you're at a club meeting, UC Jacobs is there. When you're at a match, he's there. When you're at a function, he's there. He is remembered for being that ever-present supporter. Adnan Bulli. When I got to the club, he took up the cudgels to look after the rugby nursery. And he was always there. For a decade, while I was playing, Adnan Bulli was there. Amazing. Adnan is the caterer today, so he's a man of many, many talents. But his contribution cannot go unmentioned. Then I want to talk about very, very briefly about the chairman during my era. And there was Hilmi Samsudin, there was Ismail Sharif, there was Muhammad Iso, and then Dikkie Galant was also, if you don't know, he was also the chairman of the club during that early era. Ismail Moos was a chairman of the club during that particular era. And I know of the later stage, Mr. Sarur Christians was also a chairman. And I have to acknowledge them because they kept the cudgels to lead this club during difficult periods. But what Hilmi and Ismail brought to the club was certain finesse, a certain stature, a certain discipline in the club that wasn't there previously. But more importantly, they shaped our minds in terms of principles. And I think it was during that era where we then took up the cudgels to be one of the first clubs to go to the City and Suburban Union and say, we want to join SACOS. We, of course, together with Warmers and Progress, lost the vote. And the rest is history. These chairmen are formidable people that cannot be forgotten. Then I want to talk about, very, very briefly, the forgotten legends, all those that have passed on. Those greats that we cannot ignore and forget. I want to say, and I want to tell you about Said Majid being one of those formidable leaders. And I want to tell you, and there's many, and I can't mention all their names. I want to tell you about Muhsin Galant. I played with Muhsin. He was a rugby genius. He could read the game. He could strategize. He could tell you when to do things and not to do things. I remember a classic moment when he said to me, kyk hier man, Gasiep is op ons skram af. Op die binnekant van sy broek, vang sy broek. And that is what I did, and that's how I neutralized. But who would have thought about something like that without the referee seeing you? And the entire game, Kasim Jabbar was telling Salih and telling Tat, sort die schoolboy uit. But Muhsin was the guy that gave me that strategy. Talking about Said Majid, when I saw Said Majid talking about his most memorable moment, he spoke about the time when against Kwaru at the Dan Kwekwe Stadium, and we played at the Dan Kwekwe Stadium, where Said Majid, as Sosobe, the Kwaru wing, was diving over for the try. Said Majid came through the air and took him out, saving the try. I've never, ever seen a feat like that. That was the mercurial Said Majid. The fact that he never gained Saru colors is not a fault of his capability or his capacity as a player, because he was at another level. It was certainly, in my opinion, something that was wrong with the selection process. And there was many things wrong with that selection process. Politics and biases at play. And that worked against Said Majid. Before I conclude, and I'm on my concluding remarks, I want to say to you present here today that you as the collective needs to be honored. You that are present here, and all of those that are present on live streaming, we as a united collective can change the dynamic of the Primrose Rugby Football Club. We can do that. And how are we going to do that? We're going to dig deep, very, very deep into the psyche of the Primrose Rugby player. We need to reconstruct. We need to rebuild that psyche. And this is what is needed. We need, on the other hand, to assemble our social capital. We need to harness and leverage financial capital. And as Dr. Yusuf said yesterday in the program, that if we do it in a united way, in a selfless way, in a way that's unthreatening, we can build this club into a super powerhouse. I want to end off by saying that we need to start reimagining this club as a collective. And I then believe that we can achieve new heights in this club. I want to end off by just giving one final acknowledgement, and that's why I've got the notes here. My teammates, I want to acknowledge you that played with me in the 70s. And some of them are here, and some of them are not here. If they are not here, may Allah give them a good space wherever they are. And for those that are here, this is a challenge out to you to make sure that you put your energies, your last energies, Jawa, Ismail, your last energies, Rushdi, in service of this club. Because I'm going to make that commitment in many ways, more than one, to work with this club going forward. I want to say, I acknowledge Said Majid. He was my role model. Rashad Majid, a formidable player. Iksan Sadan, where are you? Iksan, where are you? Ali Sadan. And if I don't read your name, please, my memory is not as good as it used to be. Diki Galant. When I got injured many, many years ago, the first guy to visit me in hospital was Diki Galant. That's the caliber of man we're talking about there. Muksin Galant, he's not with us anymore. Achmat Masood. There was a guy that played on the flanker with us, Theodore, what was his surname? Theodore Ross, yeah. Potty, where's Potty? Is Potty here? Fahmi Kasim, Fahim Moos, Kador, Sally Green, Zahir Adams, Suleiman Alexander, Ibrahim Galant, Nazim Smith, Gogs, what is Gogs' name? I can't remember. Yusuf, Himi Abrams, Paul Leo, where's Paul? Paul, hi Paul. Muhammad Abrams, Faik Davids, Fahmi Solomons, Gaddafi, Faizel Hugo, and Faizel Gasiep. Did I miss anybody? Please forgive me. Are there any names that played with me? With that, I want to say to you, enjoy today. Let today be a day of reconnection. Let it be a day of primrose. Let us dig deep. Let us harness the deep spirit that makes us a true Primrose Rugby player. And may the proceedings be great. May it be beneficial, not only for us as rugby players, but for mankind and humankind too, inshallah. Shukran and enjoy the day.
Shukran so much to Mr. Abbas. And you can see the passion there. So strangely enough, when we stood in a cloakroom every 10 minutes before a match, some song used to do it for the club. And that was ROSA. I don't know what happened with that song. So we're going to ask Faizel Gasiep to lead us in singing ROSA. Faizel. And this is going to bring the spirit of this day, inshallah. So without any further ado, Faizel Gasiep, please come to the front. And we're going to ask everybody to sing this because you know it. You sang it in every cloakroom from under 9, from under 35 kilos where we play to. So Faizel, please. Faizel. We don't need a jam blikkie visie. Sorry? No. He's on the program. He must sing. Come, man. So this is almost like our anthem. And still today, you find the children still singing this in the cloakroom. So Faizel, please lead us in this. Come. Bismillah, man. What is this?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Onze eerste dinge was Dina Kanaki, ja.
Nou sing daai Dina Kanaki.
Rosa nie, Rosa ko agterna, Rosa liewe nog altyd so.
It was supposed to be my brother-in-law Abdullah. He was supposed to come and do the walk cry.
Ja,
Moet hy saam mee kom? Abdullah ko staan net saam met Faizel.
Kom Abdullah, kom. Kom Abdullah, kom man.
İlah tüneken meysi barama
Manomlijk 16 jaar oud.
16 jaar oud.
Zij was een mij. Is klaar.
MashaAllah, give Faizel a huge round of applause. We're now going to call on none other than Uncle Yusuf Abrams, better known as Uncle Jawa to all of us. and Haji Ishmoni Talib to give us the history of this amazing club, inshallah. So without any further ado, please give them a huge round of applause as they make their way to the stage. Uncle Ishmoni. So as you all know, Uncle Ishmoni, besides being a Hafidul Quran, he also was a referee. And he's still a referee in the juniors.
So why are you coming up? Kan nog loop. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Riyadh asked me last week at Shaheem's daughter's wedding to trace the history of Primroses and this wonderful club. Joa, you must rectify me. Over 60 years old. Before that, I do that, however, you know, when I moved in here with my car, it brought back memories of this school. Those of us that were born in Claremont, you either went to Talfala, Marajawa, but Talfala was only up to standard 4. And then after standard 4, we had to go to Stephen Regan, you know, Stephen Regan in Campground Road. And then from there we went to Livingston. And I remember in my class was the late Usman Baba, Mahavi Galant, Ismail Shaira. May Allah give them my place in Jannah, inshallah. We had some fantastic teachers here at Livingston, Joa. Remember Mr. R.O. Dudley, Mr. Grammer. There was a German teacher, Frau Roberts, bei das Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And every morning must say, Guten Morgen, Frau Robert. Wie heißt du? Ich weiß nicht, was soll es bedeuten. Those were the days that those teachers inspired me and Joa to become teachers one day. So I just thought I'll mention that as a background. Being born and bred in Claremont, Claremont was a very small suburb, but what a wonderful little town with the Galants, Abramses, the Conrads. I don't know where Potty is here, they used to live in Westerford, etc., Talibs and the Fakirs and the Bihadins, Seb David and his family and the Nortons and the Moses, obviously. Those were the people that lived in Claremont. Famous streets, Draper Street, Protea Road, Vineyard Road, Warwick Street, Scala Bioscope, etc. Great vibe. Many clubs, cricket, Violets Cricket Club, Green Roses Cricket Club, our team, Muslims Cricket Club. But there was only one rugby team that I can remember, and that was the Violets Rugby Club. Very attached to the two masjids in Stegman Road, where Imam Harun was even before him, and my grandfather's masjid in Claremont Main Road. I don't know why Riyadh chose me, maybe because I'm a history teacher, it doesn't mean much, but anyway, I will try my best, how this club originated. Violets belong to the Western Province Union, track-based. And Jawa must rectify me, I'm not very sure about the dates, but all I know is it couldn't have been before 1960. Why? Because 1960 was a milestone in my career. In 1960, there were trials held at Greenpoint for an under-19 team that must go to Kimberley. We had to send some players to participate in the trials. First team trials and under-19 trials. I was chosen flyer, Kunini as a fullback, Rusdi, lock forward, then Hamita Sali, Tagon's brother, was the hooker. My cousin Jan Al-Rahum Yusuf, he was the center. And we went to Kimberley by bus, Chilwan's bus, and we slept in Sharif's father's hotel. Sharif, you can tell me if I'm right, was it the Kimo Hotel? Was it? Kimbertalia, and your daddy was the referee. And we played on this terrible ground. Daar's niks gras op die veld nie. Okay. And anyway, that was the highlight of our career. So how did Primrose emerge? Where did they come from? Was there ever a Primrose in Claremont? There was a Primrose, but a cricket team. Jawa's daddy, Jawa, remember your father was Takipi, and his brothers, and Himafeti, and the Smith brothers, Booby and them, they formed Primrose Cricket Club. And I remember the clubhouse was on the corner of Memel Road and Protea Road. But there was no Primrose before. How did it happen? We had a fallout with the union. I can't remember what the real reason was, but there was some issue, and we decided we just had enough of the Western Province Union. At the same time, news came that there's a team in City Park called Primroses. And this team was going down very fast, and they were looking for a team that can bail them out. So we started to negotiate with them, and I remember Jawa the house very distinctly. You go down St. Athens Road towards the highway, and the road takes a turn, right? The name of the road is Louis Vale Road. And who lives there? Mr. Louis. And Jawa tells me, Kasi, my brother, was the driver. I went, Usman went, I don't know where Jawa went. And we started to negotiate. And and then we took over from that particular Primroses. There was never a Primrose that originated from Claremont. Jawa tells me the very first meetings were held at the Athlone Hotel. And then later we went to Talfala. I was chairman for some time. Primrose became a very prominent team in the Western Province Union. I just spoke to Sharif outside. He tells me that he represented cities, like he already alluded to the fact that Rashad, Majid to my left here, Diki is here. Diki's brother Muhsin passed away. He represented cities. And obviously, and then also Said Majid became the chairman, the captain of the cities team. Did he beat Western Province? Was he the captain? But he worked in Selita, yeah. Then finally, I would like to pay a homage to my mates that passed away many years ago. I'm going to mention a few names here that I wrote down. Maybe the names will resonate to you. You remember Usman Baba. You remember Ismail Shaira. You remember Hamita Sali, Tunki Sali. Then there was Himberg. I can't remember Himberg's name. There was Hamad Bai. There was Diki Isaacs, better known as Kagan. There was my brother Hamad Said, who's not so well. Then there was Salim Moos. There was Rashad Saban. Rashad Samodin passed away. Tali Brown, Yusuf Saban, Heni, and I don't know, I told Abdi to come, but I don't see him here. So in conclusion, may Allah bless all those, give them high place in Jannah, inshallah, and may this club go from strength to strength, because I know that they have a very strong youth development. Shukran, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ishmuni, thank you very much. Ishmuni briefly sketched the Claremont scenario, but I want to take you back to Primrose's Club. Primrose's Club was formed in 1896 by a group of people at the Maitland Abattoir. That's why they were known as the Offal Club, the Offal Club. The club was established in 1896, and briefly for 2 years they played in the Maitland Union. And in 1898, City and Suburban was formed, with the headquarters in Mowbray. As you know, those of you who know, I think it's Rhodes High School where that is. And of course, in 1962, they moved to City Park. So Primrose was one of the top clubs, And in the 30s, not much has been written, but thanks to Muhammad Ali, who's now doing the history of city and suburban, he delved into the records. There was a chap known as Hansi Krunenberg who played flyer for Primrose, and he was a top person in the ranks, and he was selected for the, at that time, the South African Coloured Rugby Union. There were a number of others. Mr. Court, for example, I think many of you know Mr. Court. He died at the age of 103. Mr. Court played for Primrose also. He first played for Roslins, but because he was a senior in the Lutheran church, Roslins played on a Sunday. He couldn't play, so he joined up Primroses. In 1930s, therefore, Primrose was quite a formidable club. But when they moved to City Park in 1962, they were really down and they had hardly any players. In 1962, towards the end of the season, Violets had two teams, second team and a third team. And the second team won the league. But we were told at the end of the season that we did not pay affiliation fee and therefore we cannot get the trophy. Obviously, that was not a very nice idea. Imagine playing throughout the season and at the end of the season you are told you did not pay affiliation fee. We disputed that. Boy, Docky Jacobs, the late Siraj Jacobs, a wonderful character. He was the union, he was the club representative to go to the union. And very often he didn't go. You know, the union meetings were held at the NAS. Those of you who know, remember the NAS in Woodstock, Main Road. The meetings were held in the basement of the NAS. And I told him, but Siraj, die mense sê, jy was nie by die meeting gesê, hey, what do they know? And obviously, you know, you could see there was some tension between the union and Siraj. I then, you know, the club, I was at Hewitt at the time, and the club said to me, listen, go to the meeting with Siraj and find out what's happening. You know, I was absolutely shocked at what was going on in the meeting. Mr. Daniels, Bart Daniels, was chairing the meeting. Noortje Khan was the secretary. And Noortje Khan said to me, come and see me at my house. We will sort this out. You're not going to get anywhere today. But what I experienced was not anti-violence, but anti-Claremont, anti-Imam Harun, the entire vibe was anti this. And we had to report back to the club. But in the meantime, Heke Williams, who lived in First Street opposite Lehman, he came to us and said to us that there was a club, Primrose. They don't have many players, and they would like to have more players. We then consulted with a number of people. The Valleys were some of them, because the Valleys actually had a transport company, and the Valleys were actually the people who took many of the players to the teams, and they all agreed we've had enough of Western Province over the years. And Imam Harun had another vision in respect of us going to City Park. Imam was very involved with the Reverend Dan Wessels of the Moravian Church, with the Unity Movement and others. And he felt that by moving to City Park, we will break the shackles of Muslims and Christians. And Imam built his house. Those of you who know, he built his house opposite City Park, overlooking City Park. Imam became a patron at cities and also one of the trophies that presented. He didn't present a trophy. He said, "No, jy kan nie 'n trofee gee nie. Hulle weet nie wat gaan hulle ingooi nie." So he gave Imam Harun's shield. But then in 1963, we all attended the annual general meeting of the Primrose Rugby Club. Violets in 1962, Violets had then disbanded, and all of us joined as individuals. The first meeting was held at Athlone Hotel, and thereafter the meetings were held in St. Stephen's Church in Claremont, in Mowbray, and thereafter we brought the meetings to Talfala. The rest, obviously, is history. In 1963, when we played the first match, Rushdie will remember, we played against Retreat. But you must bear in mind, this is the first time that a large number of Muslims are playing at City Park. Obviously, the referees had to watch us. And it was some minor incident that day against Retreat. And after a few minutes, the referee blew the match off. And that was how it started. We were tough. We played tough, but Primrose stood firm. In June 1963, Umar Kasim and I were selected for the City and Suburban tour to the Eastern Cape. Slowly, over the years, in the 60s, 64, 65, 66, we became a very strong unit in City and Suburban. And in 67, with the Rhodes tournament, we had 5 players: Rushdie, myself, Ilovo, Mani, Kuneni. Kuneni was the 5th person. And we beat Western Province, despite the fact that they claimed they had to play 2 matches. Mani Abrams played for us because Warmers was not affiliated at that time. And we became very strong in the 67. We won the knockout and the league. And then 68, we also won the league. Sorry, the diamond was the league trophy. There are 3 survivors, 4 of that 1967 team. Mervyn is here. Rushdie is here. Winston Kloppers, I couldn't get hold of him. I think those were the 4 people that survived. But we had laid a very firm foundation for the club in the 60s. And 71, with the Rhodes tournament at Athlone Stadium, I think Rushdie was vice-captain. They didn't make him captain, make Keith Lento captain. But we almost controlled the sides. 67 winners of the Commando and Diamond trophies. 1968 winners of Commando. 1980 winners of First Team League. 1981 winners of Commando and Diamond. 1982 joint winners of the top 8 tournament with Young Gardens of Paarl. 1983 winners of League and Diamond trophies, participated in top 8 competition. 1984 participated in top 8 competition. And then, of course, came 1988. 1988, when 75% of the first team club left to revive Violets. It was a sad day in the history of Primrose, but Primrose survived. Riyad Najjar stayed on. I think he wanted to win the SA Cup for cities for the last time. It didn't work out, so the next year he went to play in the SA Cup final for Western Province. But Primrose survived, and they continued. In fact, that year in 1989, Riyad, under the captaincy of Riyad, they won the knockout trophy. I think the second team under the captaincy of Ihsan Sadan, they also won their trophy. And the third team under the captaincy of Fikkie Valley, they were unbeaten. They had never lost a match. I think I need to pay tribute also to one person who played very briefly in the 70s, but because of his injuries, he never continued. And he's still today the oldest member of the Primrose. I want you to give him a hand, Dole Adams. We gained promotion to the Premier side, and we gained promotion to the Super League, and we played in the Super League A. And of course, after a very successful, an unsuccessful debut, we were relegated to the Super League B again. So my challenge to all of us today is to ensure, let us heed what Bashi has said and revive this club and bring it back to its former glory. This is our challenge. And what we are busy with, the executive of Primrose, is to write up the story of Primrose. Muhammad Ali is here? Not yet. But in any case, Muhammad Ali is writing a book about the Primrose history. There's so much information now with this chat. This is a wonderful occasion. And at this time, you know, besides Saeed Majid, we think of Nazim Karil, who died in 2012. There are a lot of other people still who died. You know, if we're going to mention their names, we're probably going to be here for the rest of the day. But I want to, in memory of all of them, let us write the story of Primrose. I know, for example, when Rushdie was captain, we played against Western Province, and Rushdie said to me, but they keep on taking out our hookah. Every single match they take out a hookah. Go around the other side and put your boot into somebody's face. Of course, I did that. But there are so many challenges that we have, besides the fact that we're struggling with situations at City Park and at Rosemead. And together with Primrose, like Dr. Iso said yesterday, let us make Primrose not only the cricket club, but the soccer, the netball, and all of those. So that is my challenge today to all of us, to get involved and to make this club a super club that it's supposed to be. Shukran. Thank you very much.
MashaAllah, we say a big shukran to Uncle Ismouni for the insight of where the club stemmed from. And what was so amazing standing here watching Uncle Joe was speaking from memory. He had no notes. And that was absolutely amazing. So please give him another huge round of applause. And before I forget, somebody in the audience is celebrating a huge accolade today, and that is his 50th anniversary. Wedding anniversary, and that is none other than Yusuf Jacobs. Him and his wife, Auntie Farida, is celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. Mabrook to you and your beloved wife. May Allah grant you many more amazing years together, inshallah. So we're just going to take a quick music interlude. We have the young brothers here that is going to entertain us. Ons het nou baie gepraat. So we're going to ask the young brothers just to entertain us with a few songs. So please give them a huge round of applause. The young brothers. So to all our people that's video streaming from New Zealand and from Australia and from all over the world, this is especially for you.
Wise men say, only fools rush in, for I can help falling in love with you. Shall I say, would it be like a river flows surely to the sea. Darling, so we go someday, are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life through, for I can help falling in love with you. Tonight you're mine completely. Is the so love so sweetly? Tonight's light of love is in your eyes. Will you still love me tomorrow? Is a celestial treasure, or just a moment of pleasure? Tonight, the light of love is in your eyes. Will you still love me tomorrow? Oh, sweet soul, I need you tonight. I need you. Oh, sweet soul, show me the light. I said I was afraid. I said, show me the way. Show me the way. Oh, sweet soul, I need you tonight. Oh, sweet soul, show me the light. I said I was afraid. I said, show me the way. Show me the way. Oh, sweet soul, I need you tonight. Oh, sweet soul, show me the light. I said I was afraid. I said, show me the way. Show me the way. Oh, Carol, I am but a fool. Darling, I love you, and love it will me go. You hurt me, and you make me cry. But if you leave me, I will surely die. Darling, there will never be another, 'cause I love you so. Don't ever leave me, say you never go. I will always love you for my sweetheart, no matter what you do. Oh, Carol, I'm so in love with you.
One, two. And when the tablecloth rolls down the old grey mountainside, as the seagulls glide above the blue, like a shiny coin, the silver moon hangs over Lion's Head as the evening sky turns red. Come with me and I will show you And when the vineyards turn to gold, and the clouds are full of rain, and the north wind blows across the bay, you can hear the old man call as the light begins to fade, calling you to buy his fish down at the Grand Parade. Come with me and I will show you the city of my birth. Oh, no other place like it. I adore my game. O, elke dag is soos 'n droom, oseane in die stroom, en die roze moederstad. O, nuwe jaar kom eendag weer, met die klopse in die Kaap, dit's net nie wat dit gebeur. Was dit een wat
Primrose is julle hier. Laat toe om Tsaka die bruidegom was staan Sofia. Toe knoop by sy patie van boe vandaan dan Sofia. Om Tsaka die draai en om Tsaka die swaai. Die honderd hom gebyt, laat sy hare so waai en na Batavia. Tsaka was gas gebore dan Sofia. Toe laat hy sy stem uit die skap gehoor dan Sofia. Tsaka die draai en Tsaka die swaai. Die honderd hom gebyt, laat sy hare so waai na Batavia. Jy sê die bottel en toe hy die fles dan Sofia. Toe Tsaka die swem maar 'n klein dopie dan Sofia. 4, 5, 6 het verval. Toe het oom Tsaka in die sloot geval en na Batavia, na Batavia. Oh, Roma, Roma, di non sei Roma, Roma, di non sei Roma, di non sei Roma, di non sei Roma, Roma, di non sei Roma, di non sei Roma, di non sei Roma, oh ja, daar staan een mannen op is gevallen. Daar staan een mannen op is gevallen. Daar staan een mannen op is gevallen. Sy broek is te kan sê, maar hy wil nie hoor nie. Daar staan een mannen op is gevallen. Daar staan een mannen op is gevallen. Daar staan een mannen op is gevallen. Sy broek mora, mora, mora, Tani, waga Tani no. Tani, heel gaan water, taone bij de vlei. Aroki was een kleine scheurtje en die jongensman kijkt daarna. Die jongensman braaf van we kreeg van schaam precies. Zolang als die ritje niet, watele, lang als die ritje niet, watele, plommetjes getuk aan mij. En toen vat ik om mijn nekkie, zo'n na bekkie, plommetjes getuk aan mij. Toen vat ik om mijn nekkie, zo'n na bekkie, plommetjes getuk aan mij. Die maan schijnt zo helder vannacht. Die maan schijnt zo helder vannacht. Wat zoek ik toch als op je boezemplaat? Rijjo, boertie, rijjo. Ik kom niet eens doen.
Tina kanakina, tina tina oh. Tina kanakina, tina oh. Kana kanaki, tina oh. Kana. Oh, Boomstraat, hoe lekker straat is Boomstraat. Ali Meira homos uit by Boomstraat. So wat zoekt sy so laat daar by die Boomstraat? Boomstraat, hoe lekker straat is Boomstraat. Oh, hier wil ek nie bly nie, van nie is niks van my nie. Boomstraat, hoe lekker straat is Boomstraat. Boom, boom, boom, boom, Boomstraat.
Mashallah, please give the young brothers a huge round of applause. If you can all find your seats again, and without any further ado, we call on Mr. Fuad Dini, who will be speaking to us about the rugby in the 70s at Primrose Rugby Club.
Once again, assalamu alaikum en goeiemiddag aan julle almal. As iemand nou in die saal moet stap, sal hy nou dink, 'n seker sassa byeenkoms. Maar nietemin, die jaargetal wat ons is baie relatief. 1886, 125 jaar gelede. Nou 125 jaar is 'n lang tyd, en ons is maar hier in die 60s en in die 70s, miskien van ons hier is in die 50s. Ons is nie te oud nie, ons kan nog baie dinge doen met ons lewe, alhamdulillah. You're either a child of a decade, child of the 70s, 'n kind van die 60s of van die 80s. Ek is 'n kind van Primrose. Die rede wat ek dit sê is dat ek het opgegroei in die Claremont onder die spelers wat gespeel het in die 60s. In die Dryperstraat wat ek gewoon het, ook aan my het Sachi, Shiraz en Achmat Galant gebly. Eentjie weg van hulle het Saad en Noor Galant gebly. Dan het daar die Jacobs familie gebly. Yusuf Jacobs, Shiraz Jacobs en Abdurrahman Manus Jacobs. So in die gang, Ridwan Jacobs kon 'n gang gebly. Was daar al Primrose manne wat ek leer ken het, wat ek nog opgegroei het. As ek winkel toe gestap het, dan het Oesman Baba so oor die twinbank geleun, vergiet van sy customers wat daar staan, want hy wil alles gehoor het, wat die manne praat daar so, wat hulle discuss, die match wat hulle gespeel het, in detail, elke ding het hulle gediscuss. Nie net die Saterdag aan nie, die Sondag, heel dag het julle gekry in Oesman Baba se winkel. Die Maandag voor hulle na die meeting toe gaan, het julle gekry daar staan en praat. Kyk, die tyd was daar nie TV nie. So, die manne het dan Vir hulle was dit 'n genot om te gepraat het van hulle wedstryd, wat hulle gespeel het. Natuurlik het hulle referee gebly as hulle verloor het, maar meeste van die tyd het hulle gewen, want hulle was 'n baie sterk span. Nou, ongelukkig vir ons wat in die 70's begin speel het baie van die groot spelers van Primrose het hulle begin te wegval. Nou, ek sê altyd, wat ek 'n kind was, het ek beter geweet het ek na Nieuweland toe gaan. Ek het 'n bietjie geld verdien daar so in Primrose verkoop. En ek het baie spelers gesien in daai tyd in daai era wat gespeel het soos Doug Woodward, John Gainsford, Dave Stewart, Wilson. Maar wat ek begin Primrose ken het, toe, kyk, die manne was in die koerante en op die radio, was hulle groot ophef gemaak van. Maar wat ek vir Primrose begin te speel, toe sê ek, maar die manne is nie meer my helde nie. My helde is nou Abrams, die 8ste man, Pieter as Woodward, Rusty Majid. Ek het saam met hom lang gespeel. Ek het nog nooit 'n lok gesien wat so akkuraat tap na sy skramhalf. Ek hoef nie eens 'n millimeter die kant toe, of links of rechts, of agtertoe of vorentoe gebeweeg het hy. So akkuraat het hy getap. Dan het jy gekry ons hakke in Louwel van die bestes. Ons het 'n gymnastiek fullback gehad, Mr. Kassim Koneni. Hy sou dat wil eens met gaan slaap het vir hom. So die mense, en daar was dit Hendriks skramhalf. Hulle het my helde geword. Ek het na hulle opgekyk. So vir my was dit 'n plesier om vir Primrose te kon gespeel het. En van jongs af, na skool, in die juniors, en toe die derde span, tweede span, en toe het laas die eende span, was dit 'n groot eer en 'n honor vir my om my Primrose jersey te dra. Ongelukkig vir my, in die stadium, was daar baie goeie skrimskakels in Primrose. Ek was hier die skrimhalf, wat hulle, die eerste skrimhalf, daar was Rashid Konrad, daar was Suleiman, wat sê van nou weer, Alexander, hy het nie vir ons gespeel met Timmy Gelderbloem, hulle was prodigies. Hulle het uit die skoolbanke gespeel skrimhalf, maar hulle was baie goed, baie vinnig, en hulle was wedstrijdwenners gewees. My lewe het gedraai om Primrose, maar toe kom die groep Aries in, 1968-69. Toe moet ons nou 12 kilometers ver weg in Menenberg, daar in Bondiewel, Heideveld, so met gegaan Lansdowne, Gasiep toe. 'n Mens sou dink, die sou die span gebreek het, maar alhamdulillah, baie van die manne was Primrose, sal ek maar sê, Primrose mal. Ek glo nie Primrose het manne verloor, die groep Aries ek nie. Maar het was 'n aanpassing wat ons moes gedoen het, niet ons as individuals nie, maar as Primrose self. Primrose het nie meer 'n vaste plek gehad, wat hy kan oefen in vergaderings hou nie. Eerste tyd moes vergaderings gehou by die Tafalla Institute. Maandag aan het hulle vergaderings gehad. Hulle was aangetrek met 'n blazer en 'n taai. Lekker om te gesien het. Wat ons moet vertrek, toe is dit by Stegmanrood. Maar toe het Stegmanrood nou te veel, because almal bly mos nou in die buitewyke. Toe kom ons na Devonroad se masiet. En so moes ons rondgetravel het na Oaklands High School, na Palmerston Primary School, en ek dink, we staan na Achmat Majidse huis in Sussex, het ons ook vergadering gehou. Also, practices also. Ons het heen en weer gesweef van een plek na die ander plek. Ons het al op Groenvlei gepractice, daar wat vir Hendriks gebly het, practice in Menenberg, ons het gepractice op Oaklands eventually, en waar ons toe ligte gekry het. Voorheen het ons die ligte gehad, die karligte gebruik. Ons het eventually op City Park, op sekere ademkos, kon ons in daar gepraktis het. Maar ons het deurgedruk. Primrose nie te veel trofee gewen in die 70's. Ek het moeite gemaakt by die library in Kaap te gaan kyk, ou results te gaan opsoek. Ek het eintlik gehoop ek kon kry die logs van die 70's jare, maar ongelukkig kon ek kry nie, maar ek het dan 'n paar uitslae gekry. In 1969 was Temperance die top dog. Van Temperance het gewen die League, die Diamond en die Commando trophies. So ons eerste wedstryd in 1970 was die na Universals en het ons daar gedro. 11-11. Daar was het try die Armajit, ek weet nie of dit Rashad of Rusty is, converted by Ismajit en penalties by Ismajit. Dan het ek gelees dat Abrams van die by Jood gespeel het, was die kaptein van Cities A at that time. Van Robin April was die kaptein, hy was die kaptein van die Cities B at that time. Van Robin April was die kaptein van die Cities. Op die 30ste Mei het Primrose vir California gewen, 40-3. Ons sal jy vergeet, daar was 'n span soos California. Nou, om julle te bring na die 70's, julle te laat besef wat die tyd was. Daar is die tyd wat Percy Sledge hier kotoer het. En op die 29ste Mei 1970 het hy opgetree in die Laxorama. Die ingangsfooi was R1 tot R3. Geloof my vry. June 1970 het Temperance net gemaak om te droog na ons in die laaste minuut het hulle penalty oorgesit. Het gedroom met ons 6-0. Tries by the wings, Abrams en Davids. So die tyd was die try nog 3 punte elk. Die 20de June 1970 het Rashid Conrad gespeel vir Cities. Op Mei die 1ste het Primrose vir retreat gewen in Liga 8. Mei die 8de het Primrose vir Homers gewen. Het Homers vir Primrose gewen 14-11. En Abrams het 2 tries geskor. Ismail het 'n conversion en 'n penalty oorgesit. En op Mei 15 het Primrose vir Excelsiors gewen 13-5, waar Anthony de Villiers 'n try geskor het en 'n conversion was by Gasiep. En Mei 22 het Percy's gewen vir Primrose 11-3. En in June 5, 1971 het Primrose het Hewitt pakke gegee vir Primrose 14-5. 18de July 1971 het Progress die league winners geword. En 25ste July 71 het Primrose vir retreat gewen 6-5. In 1972 het Primrose 2 geandertoek na Joburg, wat 10 dae gelaas het, en daar was omtrent 50 members op hy toer. En in 1972 het Mr. Nazim Karil vir Primrose gejoin van Universal self. Op die 13de July 1975 het Primrose vir polisie gewen, 17-3, daar was nog 'n polisierijdtyd, ja. En 20de July het Primrose vir retreat gewen, 12-6. 27de July het Primrose toe vir Hewitt gewen, 14 liga. Try by Shafiq Hamildin en Ali Sadan en P. Leeuwen 2 penalties oorgesit. 3 August het Primrose vir Excelsior gewen, 4-3. 10 August 1975 het Primrose en Homers gelyk opgespeel, 4-11, waar Conrad 'n try geskor het. In die tyd was die try 4 punte weer. 1975 het Yusuf Ali, Sadiq Khalan en Riyad Najar vir Primrose gejoin, na hulle klaargemaak het by Hewitt College. In 1975 het Percy's in die Commando final vir Primrose gewen, 12-7, try by Shafiq Hamildin en conversion by Paul Leo. Nou in 1976 het Percy's weer vir Primrose gewen, 10-3. Ismail het 'n penalty oorgesit. Ek was betrokke in die wedstryd, ongelukkig moet ek die eerste 2 minute van die wedstryd verlaat, want hulle het op my kop getrap, 'n groot skeer in my kop. En later dan toe Paul Leo na die hospitaal toe kon kas. So Primrose het gespeel die hele wedstryd met 13. Ja, in 1977 het Primrose getoon na Newton uit en het was gespeel op die Edcott Stadium. 78 het Primrose het laas daar om 'n kop gewen. Villages die Commando Cup gewen 16-6. P. Leo penalty in 'n drop goal. In 1979 toe moes Primrose 3 matches in 6 dae speel. Hulle het vir Tussels gewen 4-0, Villages 10-0 en in die finale het hulle vir Progress gewen 8-3. Yusuf het 'n try geskoor en Suleiman Alexander. So hulle daarom in die 70s die Commando Cup gewen. Okay, shukran. My tyd is al klaar op. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah, we say a big shukran to Uncle Fuad, who has prepared himself exceptionally well. Ek dink hy het nog 'n wealth of information daar om te share met ons. But unfortunately, the waqt of dhuhr has caught up with us. So we're going to have a break for the waqt of dhuhr, inshallah. And at this juncture, I just want to say to Buta'ai, Uncle Faldi, who's sitting there with the oxygen tank, shukran so much for joining us this afternoon. Please give him a huge round of applause. May Allah grant you shifa, inshallah, and make it easy for you. And for all those that are finding themselves in a not so very healthy position, may Allah grant complete shifa, inshallah. We will break for dhuhr, and thereafter we will carry on with the program. I don't know if the masjid is open. Is the masjid open? Is it open? I see the lunch is being served also. Let's go and make dhuhr salah, and thereafter we will carry on with the program. Shukran so much. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت سيدنا محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة والشرف والدرجة الرفيعة وبعث مقاما محمودا الذي وأتى وارزقنا شفاعته يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. آمين. باي باي شكرا فعملي معنا. Tamal, can everybody start taking their seats and then we can start again, inshallah. Without any further ado, I'm going to call on a very special guy here today. Alhamdulillah, he's been going through some treatment. With all those challenges, he still managed to be here. And he's none other than Mr. Faizel Hugo. Please give him a huge round of applause as he makes his way to the podium. And he's going to speak to us about the 80s. As you know, Mr. Hugo, his voice is not one of the strongest because of what he's going through. So I'm going to need your attention, inshallah. Shukran.
Many thanks, Mr. MC. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and all thanks are bestowed among Allah Almighty, the Lord of all worlds. I greet you with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brother Faiz asked me to convey his apologies. He was looking forward to seeing and being amongst his extended Primrose family. Honoring dignitaries, Mr. Joa Abrams, Mr. Rushdie Majid, Mr. Yusuf Mais Jacobs, Mr. Ami A. Moos, Mr. Adi Puli, I had the pleasure of being on Umrah with him. Our 5 living legends right there. Sharif Jaffa, journalist, he made us famous with all the peace. Thank you so much for Sharif. In memory of our department administrators, Nazim Karil, Mr. Gasiep Talib, Mr. Hima Fetty Smith, Freddy and Theodore's Ross' grandfather, our honorary life president, Mr. Edward Ford, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Don Adams, Mr. Rosie Issa, my housework meneer van Oaklands, our organizing committee and planning committee, Fahmi Solomons, our greatest sorrow, captain, fellow, beloved teammates and friends. A speech should be like a dress on a woman. Beautiful, it should be long enough to cover the important parts and short enough to keep you interested. I'm proudly and gratefully humbled, honored to be part of the Primrose family. I'm going to take you on a journey way back into time. Back in the day, we had the weighing system, just to refresh your memories. We've come a long way, a lifetime of friendship on and off the sporting fields. Most of us come from humble and poor backgrounds, but our parents made sure that we had everything in moderation. And we say shukr to them. May the Almighty bless them who is still alive with good health and strength. May the Almighty grant all the departed parents high place in Jannah, inshallah. Primrose Rugby Football Club's junior structures deserves legendary status amongst the elite rugby clubs in the Western Cape and beyond. The club name is firmly etched into the archives of the rugby fraternity and rugby history. Back in the day, it was the weigh-in system. My journey here starts from 1974, under 35, age 13. Under 45, 1975, under 85, 1976. That was the time of the riots. And then we moved over to our age groups, under 18, 1917, under 19, 1978, under 20, 1980. I made my first team debut 1981 to 1986. Throughout my journey, names and bijnamen will be mentioned. Not going to do justice if I don't mention the bijnamen. The bijnamen is more colorful than the Lion King, en mooier as die geboortename. Forgive me in advance if I omit or leave out anyone who played with me. Zami was selected a season after me. Faiz was selected a season after Zami. Faizel Gasiep came into the team in 1983. Aged 17 years old, made his debut against Warmers. Zimmy Adams, 1984, after his selection from the VP schools, Western Province schools. I was the only one who came through our junior ranks from 1981 to 1983. Later on, I'll take you through our junior years from 1974 to 1980. Our senior years from 1981 and 1986. Players we forged lifetime friendships. Today we sit together, sharing the same memories, not knowing we became role models to one another. We are brothers in arms, teammates, and friends for life, no matter our differences. Our role models was Nazim Karil, Arab Najjar, Didi Galant, Said Majid, Rasad Majid, Sharif Abbas Pasi. According to my colleague, Mr. Floki, his generation looked up to us as their role models. The Primrose family being supported through thick and thin, good or bad times. We have this spiritual relationship supporting each other. Tukmals, weddings, Hajj and Umrah journeys, janazas, khatams, etc. We all in debt to this club because this club determined our way of life and lifestyle with all its traditional and professional cultures. We are all somehow benefited being part of this mighty club. That's Ubuntu right there. On the spiritual side of our Primrose family, who was fortunate to produce Imam Harun, who was an EXCO member and attended many of our games. Sheikh Fuad Isaac played in the under 19, Imam Sulaiman Chico Alexander, Imam Basit Benjamin, Imam Rasad Saleh, Sheikh Ati Moos, Sheikh Ridwan Mawin Galant, Imam Zak David, Imam Baku Bom Fakir, Imam Ismouni Talib. That's our spiritual side from our club. We grew up in poverty. Today, I want to pay tribute to Nazim Karil, may Allah grant him Jannah with those, Arab Najjar, Tiki Galant, Yima Poons Galant, Puta Yima Feti, Hassan Arab Tamang Richards, Farouki First Ismail. If it wasn't for you guys, myself, Faiz, and Zami would never have made it to the top. Let me explain. The time we made the first team, we were unemployed. We didn't have any transport and finances. Nazim Karil, Arab Najjar, Diki Galant, Yima Poons, Farouki First Ismail was always there to assist. Hassan Richards will always have a special part in my heart. Many Sultan fellas. Whenever Arab Najjar gave us a lift in his white Datsun, remember the white Datsun? The Datsun Coupe 160Y. We shared space with his beloved racing birds, not the female kind yet. When we owned our own cars, Farouki First Ismail pumped out our cars with the latest Pioneer tape decks and sound system. He did our mechanical work pro bono. On my wedding day, Faizel Isaac made his Mercedes-Benz available. Imi Galant was the driver for the day. We never had medical aid. Never ever had medical aid back in the day. Dag Hospital was your name. Or Somerset Hospital. Courtesy Yasin George of Scottsbluff. Or Fortescue was the other option. Shafi Abrams Chemist was our sponsor. Most of the rugby fraternity in cities and Western Province used his services. He provided us with sports medicine, example, Voltaren, DB, all kinds of oils, magic spray, Fiangtong. Die rooi was nog niet uitdagend op die markt. Knee and ankle guards, strapping, medic sports tights, wrist guards, etc. Zami always strapped up like the Tutankhamun mummy before the game. Ami Adams and Wahid did my electrical work at my breedkamer, courtesy Noor Tammy's Electrical. Many shukran to all the above, forever, eternally grateful. That's Ubuntu right there. Let me take you back to the happy days of City Fair, where I met my wife serving her from behind Primrose counter. Kan julle nog onthou hoe ons mielies gespeel het? The music at the front, Moonlight the vibe. Can we still remember Showtime at Lakshirama, where we had fundraisers? Those was the highlight on our sporting calendar. 1971, Toto Joma was the train to Kimberley. Ito, East Tournament, and forget me. There, Zami equaled House try scoring record with 7 tries. Places of note: Flamingo, Cozy Corner, Fun City, Golden Dish, Wembley. Happy days indeed. Part of our junior years from 1974, under 35 kilogram, until under 20, 1980. The juniors, the journey started on Friday, the holy day of Jum'ah, for Yom Jum'ah. Me 30 years old, for ik 9 years old. 2 p.m. after attending Yogurt Mosque with Imam Hassan Moors, was and still is the resident Imam, Noor and Mami Galant would take us to their house for lunch. This is the start of our sporting education. They had a treasure trove of local and international sports magazines, reading material and videotapes. We would watch international cricket, Ashes, West Indies, India and Pakistan games by them on videotapes. British Lions, Barbarians, 5 Nations Rugby. Our international role models were household names like India, Sunil Gavaskar, Muhammad Azmuddin, Madassa Nassa. Pakistan, Mustaq Ahmad, Imran Khan, Wazir Akram, Wakra Yunus. The Lions 1974 tour, Phil Bennett, J.J. Williams, Gareth Edwards, Willie John McBride, Roger Ashley. France, Jean-Pierre Reeves, Jean-Baptiste Lafont, Donga, Intermark, Philippe Salah. All Blacks, Brian Williams, Grant Petty, Billy Bush, Andy Leslie, Billy Osborne, Colin Meads, Brian Lahore. This was our first introduction to international sports and role models. Many students put the Noor Galant. We are forever eternally grateful to you. My dad used to wake up early in the morning to listen to the commentary of Gerard Verveer, All Blacks versus South Africa in New Zealand. Little is known about my dad, Puta Kasim Bali Davids. May Allah grant him Jannah to windows. He played rugby for Crowns Rugby Football Club just around the corner here. He was from the 2nd Avenue. My Opa, Abdul Aziz Mema Yugo. May Allah grant him Jannah to windows, inshallah. From Claremont, he was an all-round sportsman, rugby and cricket. We moved to number 23 Denver Road. The cricket field was opposite our house. Every Saturday and Sunday morning, Imam Harun would come carry the cricket mat from our house. 4 p.m. We still Friday, 4 p.m. now. Junior practice at the Lower Park Sports Field. The Cousin Ferry and Hima Boy Davids was our player coach. Notable players at that time: Lang Hangata, Bumichop, Kata, Sekwan Isaac, Paula Eines, Ojo, Hasnuddin, Jamil, Whitey Van Vogel, Jawad, Hima Boy Davids, Hima Tierang, Arab Hassan Richards, Fali Fono, Domi Hubber, Fuad Stemmet, Anwar Norton, Aboy, Faiz Gasiep, Shahimi Talib, Lang Faiz, Jofi, Atimus, Zami, Falni Imamling. Now we're moving on to Friday night, 7 p.m. Junior meetings at Mr. Yusuf Maish Jacob's house. Our first experience of informal meeting. Teams were selected, pick-up points was discussed, and Saturday morning, game day. Auntie Farina would always make Boomer. Her duty was to wash the junior jerseys. Saturday mornings, game day. 8 a.m. through rain and sunshine, we played council. People who assisted the juniors, Ami Moos, Putasi, Nazim Karil, Andy Bully, Putato, Aslam Abrams, brother. Pick-up points. If you miss your parking, walking and hiking was your only option. We would usually miss our parking. We had to walk from Lansdowne to Thornton Road and back. We never paid gate fee. Nazim Karil and Andy Bully would line us up, the juniors, to Intercity Park. We would never stay behind. We never stay behind to watch the seniors. My dad was waiting for us at Newlands Rugby Stadium. But the aim was put a stop to that. He instructed Kadusi to stop us from leaving City Park. But the aim was to convince us to play third team and second team at the tender age of 18 years old. Under his leadership, the rest is history. Time invested in this club add up to almost a lifetime. Meetings on Monday nights, practices Tuesday, Thursday nights, pre-season training, on the beach, and limited opportunity to go to gym. Game days was Saturday afternoons, midweek games and floodlight games, not to mention the benefit games on Greenpoint track. VB-based clubs on Sundays, and of course, our national top 8 tournament. Tuesday, Thursday night practices. We never had transport. Zami lived in Manenberg. We would run from my place to Oaklands, passing the rugby ball through and dodging peak-hour traffic. Skills development. We were always first and last to leave practices. We would practice goal kicking, Zami long distance, me short distance, drop goals, line kicking, and up and unders, code 99, drummer kicks. Mama Halan, our first team coach, was always busy with the forwards. He gave us carte blanche to do our own thing, to express our own natural abilities and skill sets on practice and match days. We had a scrum machine. We had one floodlight powered by a generator, and when the generator runs out of petrol, the players' cars was the source of lightning. The notorious DC committee. I was fortunate never to be summoned. Tahima Fetty, he was the director of the Referees Association of City and Suburban. Die manne wat voorgekom het voor die DC, het die meeste van die tyd maklik afgekom. Anders was vallige jou naam. Tahima Fetty het altyd van die manne gesê, meneer, as jy na die DC kom, trek jou ordentlik aan, vorm kanale met 'n baadjie en 'n taai, en dra kofia, wees polyn en genederig. Goed maar van die mense, salam alaikum, en vatte jou tagheid op tyd. My proudest moment making the first team debut. Played for the mighty ROSAs until 1989, when we departed to college. 1982, headline article by Gerard Peters, quote, everything coming up for the ROSAs at last. Primrose was renowned playing a 10-man forward game. For 19 years, the trophy cabinet was empty. The backline became a potential weapon of speed and skill. The senior players trusted us to do our magic. The forwards had always their moves codes. The 1-2-3 dizzy move, the 7-8-6 Arab move going through the middle of the lineup. Bazaar move where Passi had the ball behind his back. The backline also came into play with their moves. Skip 1, skip 2, 99 up and under, loop the loop, station, trigger the drop goal, or touch kick. The only time, to my recollection, we changed our codes was against prison services. The code was 26, 27, 28, Hospagamiza. Daimana was heeltemal confused. Putagalan was my captain. I was his vice captain. He only had one instruction, mark magic. Before every final, We met at Putatafoni Moos, Nazim Khalil's, and Qasim Talib's house, and 40 Conrad's house, for motivational talks and free lunch. Dr. Umar Islam's dad, got him a high place in Jannah, inshallah, was always present. His dad usually slipped me a note or a jumachi. At the time, I thought it's a slavat. He was usually behind the post, doing what he does best, priceless moments. My debut year, 1981, we won the double. We drifted diamond final, 28-8. Zami scored 22 points, 2 tries, 3 conversions. Tries by Chico, Founder Isaac, and Said Majid. We beat Tussles in Commando Cup final, 15-3, 2 tries Said Majid, try by Chico, drop goal Faizel Hugo. 1982, lost the Commando Cup semi-final, won the league and diamond. Our first top 8 final, shared with Garden 6-6. 1983, selected for City's SA Cup team. We won the league and diamond, beat the team 97, 2 times Ibrahim Hofi Noordin, 5-8, and 2 conversions. In conclusion, let the red bond us in blood, the blue bond us in spirit, and the white be the memories that keep us immortal on the tongues and hearts of the next generation. Let the badge be the awareness of how many has walked this road before you, and humble you to be honored to have walked with legends. May the Almighty give us hidayah to practice the sunnah of our Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Grant our sick complete shifa, our deceased Jannatul Firdaus, mercy to our parents, guidance to all our youth, muhabba between families, success in dunya and akhirah, for the entire ummah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Quote from our own philosopher, Mani Pinky Chow. Ons is allemaal naby Allah. Unquote. So let our last word be La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah, we say shukran to Mr. Hugo, and may Allah grant him complete shifa, inshallah. All the best for the chemo. Without any further ado, I'm going to call on Dr. Iso, and together with Mr. Najjar. Mr. Najjar, please join us on the stage. And after the two of them, we'll have Mr. Sadiq Galant, who will do a tribute and then the conclusion, inshallah, by Rashad Majid. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm not going to give you my whole book today, just a chapter. Shukran Faizel for the inspirational words. Shukran for art. I think that is definitely chapters for a book. And they must be actually acknowledged for hard work. So shukran to you, Faizel, and shukran for art. Just to conclude the ceremony, the most important person that has inspired us behind the scene is Mr. Riyad Najjar. So a big round of applause. So my job is just, it's a simple job. We must acknowledge the people for having done good work for Primrose over the years. But Mr. Christians, it takes a village to raise a child. We cannot just say this is the top player and we ignore the secretary, or this is the top fly-off and there's no scrum-off. Even your wives at home and your spouses and your private spouses, they all played impactful role in you becoming great players. So well done to all of you. Coming to a more serious note, we have decided on people that we feel not only for their rugby prowess, but also for their input and their age. Mr. Riyad Najjar, we're going to call on these respected people, and then we're going to hand over the accolades to them. And we're going to call on specific people to hand it to them out of respect. Call on someone who has sacrificed his anniversary today. He's 50 jaar getrouwd, Boeta Yunus, 50 jaar. So we call on none other than Yusuf Jacobs to make his way to the podium to receive the first accolade. Zahir, bring vir jou pa hier by die kotklavers. Okay. Right, give Mr. Jacobs a round of applause. And we call on the SARU captain, Fahmi Solomon, om die man die accolade te handig. Dis nie net enige man wat vir jou die ding, die is die SARU kaptein. Ek dink nie daar's nog 'n SARU kaptein hier nie, né? So, Fahmi Solomon, you've heard in Faizel's speech, Mr. Jacobs' house was open all the years. Right? Mr. Jacobs used to be the manager of, the secretary of Olympiads at Watsonians, Violets and Primroses. So he was through and through. And then of course, you know Doki, you know Manus. Do you recall the scoreboard at the cricket field at Newlands? Amelie mense daarin gegaan. This is all Mr. Jacobs' context. Give him a big round of applause, inshallah. Photos, right? You've seen the advert of Sky Limit, and there's also a book there, The Bilal, written by our beloved Abdurrahman Galant. Please support, because then we can write more books, inshallah. We now call on someone, of course, who's also been an administrator. He's been a player. I always used to see the word "ay and other." Nou dink ek die man se naam is "ay." Ek kon kry hy aan so by positions. But "ay and other" was for those people that didn't come practice and was miskien die top players. But today we're calling on one of our top administrators, someone that has really taken Primrose a long way, and a lot of the speakers have also shown in their scripts that this is a man to be acknowledged. He's the head of the family. Hy sê vir Kador, hy sit stil. Hy sê vir hom kom vroeg huis toe. And of course, it was only Sheikh Pony wat vir hom kan reggeruk het. None other than Mr. Ismail Moos. Die man se naam is Ismail, nie Ay nie. Ismail Moos. Give the band a round of applause. We call on Sharif Abbas, die man van Spice Maker. Hy bly byna by Mr. Moos. Whenever Mr. Moos is going to need spice, hy moet dit bring na die man se huis toe. Mr. Sharif Abbas, Ta'al Hunak, JEQ. Well done, Mr. Moos. Give him another round of applause.
But I need to say something, inshallah.
Go for it, sir.
And just want you to bear with me, please, for 2 or 3 minutes. You know, ons het nou al baie lank aan Primrose bouw. 50 jaar, 60 jaar, 40 jaar, 30 jaar. For the entire time that I've been involved with Primroses, it's for me a tremendous pleasure for me to having been in association with Primroses to this day. And whatever I did, where Primrose is concerned, I did it with the greatest of pleasure because it is something that was dear to my heart. So I want to take this opportunity. I know you all, each and everyone I know individually. I must thank you for having made my life so much better by knowing you, because I appreciate the friendship that I got from you. So again, I want to say thank you very much for having known you, and it was for me a great pleasure. Nummer twee, dis die laaste. Die oudjie, ek gaan daar die winkel toe. Ek het 'n jersey aan van Primroses met die badge op. Die twee ouens staan in die winkel. Hulle kyk mekaar aan, hulle kyk vir my aan, hulle kyk die badge aan. En die ene sê vir die ander, "Hey, Primroses jong." Nou sê die ander, "Ja, Primroses ja." Nou sê die vir die ander ou, "Daai team." As jy die styl daar gehad het, jy kan nie met daai team gaan speel het nie. En die ander ding wat comes to mind, in die Herald, eenstarig in die Herald. Wie nou die Herald koran? Wie nou die Herald koran? Eenstarig oggend in die agterbly, sportbly, Primroses, the blue-eyed boys of City Park. Weet blue, the blue-eyed boys of City Park. Dit is wat the Herald wrote about Primroses. So like I say again, join me in applauding the best club in the world.
Shukran, Mr. Moos. Indeed, a very friendly person. Ek het eers bang gewees vir Mr. Moos, want hy lyk streng, man. Toe dink ek, ek kan mos nie begin nie karate gaan doen nie. Right, but thank you, Mr. Moos. Well done. I recall when we were youngsters, to pak klees om die mes te dra vir Sheikh Pony as hulle die skape slag. Ek dink ons is salig. But without further ado, Salid mos die mes gedra vir Imam Harun. Sally Abrams. Hy dra nou nog 'n mes. Anyway, we're coming to a very important gentleman. The man put a lot of time in Primroses. He's the youngest person that's going to get the accolade. Maar die goed wat julle hier sien vandag, wat julle eet, you've seen him, okay, 'n mens praat nie van daai nie, but there were many times that he would help people. But I think when you were junior, then we had to go knock on Adi Bully's door. Adi raak wakker, ons maak hier die jerseys. Die jerseys is nog nat. Maar hy het vir die treasurer gesê, hulle moet hom betaal vir die jerseys wat hy gewas het. Nat jerseys. But anyway, be that as it may, the next person that we respect, and he's the youngest person, Adnan Bully. We call on Sadiq Galant to give him the accolade. Nou Sadiq sal weet wat om te praat van Adnan Bully. Kan alla die man is weer getroud, né? Right, Sadiq Galant will do the honor. Sadiq, you want to give a speech about Adi? Dikkie, wil jy iets gesê het van Adnan Bully? Kan alla, sê net 2 woorde. Tramakas. Ja, jy moet na.
Shukran Adi. As jy nie Adi van Badi nie, is nou Adi van Arab remind me om jou te remind hoe jy het goed gewerkt bij huis. Okay, Mr. Bully, shukran man for your loyalty and for your contribution, especially to junior rugby. Jy was nie naast aan die veld. Ons moet vir jou opbreek. Okay, shukran.
Shukran, Mr. Sadiq Galant, and you must stay on the stage, and shukran, Mr. Bully, for everything that you've done for our club. Jazakallah khair. A few words, Kanala.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a complete surprise to me. I never expected anything from this family of mine. When I joined Primrose, it was exactly 50 years ago this year. I found so much that I lost, that I wanted in this club, in the members of this club. I lost my father when I was 7. But every elderly person in this club acted as a father to me. I must mention Gasiep Ferry, Sid Kafar, Lehman, and even Dol. They're always there to help me along the life. And I can never ever repay them, but just making dua for them. There's 3 highlights in my career with Primrose. I don't want to take up your time, although everybody's hungry. The first one is the first time ever after I refereed the morning, so to the juniors, played third team, played second team, and I was told to play first team at 4 o'clock. That was a highlight of my career. The other one was I don't want to get emotional. I was sitting one day at a restaurant in Claremont when Faizel, Hugo, I think his surname is now David, and Faik came to my late wife and said, they're thanking her for allowing me to look after them when they were small. And I really appreciated that, because there are many sitting here. Although I wasn't a good rugby player, a lot of them came out of my hands and played SA Cup rugby. I can mention Faik. there's Yimpie, there's Dr. Iso, there's Faizel Gasiep, there's so many others, Desai. But first thing I taught them was discipline. That was the second highlight. The third one was the year where Primrose was down and out financially. Even myself, I was down and out. But because, for the love of this club, I thought to myself, I told my colonel, listen, is it 20 grand or 30 grand? I sponsored them, plus the cricket team, and I gave to collegians. And the cricket team won the league, and Primrose won the league, rugby, and collegians was re-promoted to the top division. That is the 3 highlights of my career. And the best day is also now to be amongst everybody here, especially Putai. I think I was the first guy to knew Putai when he came to play for Primroses. But you guys must never forget the icons in this club that were dead, like Nazim Karil, and Putasit, Lehman, Dalla, all those people. Those were the people that, although we fought on the rugby field, but we fought to win the ball and the game. But still, all our children and your children are disciplined children because our essence comes from Primrose Rugby Club. Shukran Kathir, and once again, I'm very proud of this. I will share this with my wife until the day I die.
Shukran, Mr. Bully. Mag Allah vir jou 'n lang lewe gee en nog klomp vrouens ook, inshallah. Right, there you have Mr. Bully. Well done, and thank you so much. We're coming to the ultra highlight, Mr. Leo. This is where we're giving the accolades to the top players, and hier moet ek maar niks praat nie. So I'm going to leave it to the best principal in the South Africa to do this part of the job. This man is an icon everywhere you go with him. Mr. Riyad Najjar, shukran.
Shukran. Ek weet hulle het hande geklop toe Gaddafi bietjie lang aangaan. Hulle klop al voor die tyd hande, nou ek moet ophou. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think why we're here today is because of a simple conversation myself and Basi had. I think it was just in November, end of November. So, you know, we were speaking about all those who have passed on and our players. And then in the conversation, we mentioned that, look, why must we always give people posthumously awards? We can't, hulle is nie meer daar om het te appreciate nie. And that is where it all started, and the rest is history. Now, we know there were 2 people in Primrose that was anonymous with this club. I think they sacrificed their families, their lives, their wives, not wives, for the club. And I'm not from Claremont, and when I came to Hewitt, and from Hewitt I had to go and play for a club, and because Dickie and Joe, we were close, they took me to Primroses. And that is where I really saw structure in training, because I played for Watsonians before, in town, en daar sit man ons by mekaar gekom, en ons kyk maar net hoe, hulle discuss het hoe hulle die ander oog gaat afskop in die cloakroom. But Rusdi was a real terrible, I think he's got some alien genes in him, you know, which he's got no sympathy with anyone on the training field. He got us to do army training. I don't know if the guys can remember, where you had to run and sprint to the front and through the waters, and hy wag tot daar at least 3 ouens moet kots, en ons weet Boksien was altyd die eerste ene wat opgegooi. Rusdi was terrible, and he was worse on sy uit, you know. But during those difficult periods, we learned so much from his determination to succeed. As we all know, a lot of the youngsters don't know the history of Rushdie. Rushdie was not only a brilliant motivator and rugby player, but also an excellent, one of the best swing bowlers that this country has produced. He went to play overseas as well, in England. Was it Enfield, D? Which team did you? In Lancashire League, and where he also made a mark. But he could have switched allegiance. He could have played for another country. But he is an extremely disciplined and principled person. So much so that in, I think it was in 1981, 82, when we were supposed to play a semi-final, and on the Sunday, Sa8 and Paul and them all went to play a game. You remember Paul at UCT? We had a meeting on the Monday evening, and 12 of the first team was suspended, and we had to play on the Saturday semi-final. You know, we pleaded in the meeting, but Rushdie, I think Joa was still a bit, said, okay man, kyk. But Rushdie said no. Hulle kan nie speel nie. Hulle het gesuspend. So the 12 players of the first team, and we had a good team at that time, was suspended. And then a lot of youngsters, the second team had to play with, I think it was myself, Potty. Potty couldn't go on the Saturday because he only came home when the game started. So it was Potty, myself, and Basi. I think were the only three that of the first team that played. The team played so well with those youngsters. You know, we won. But the other guys all came back and we won that final. But this was the placing victory and placing everything at stake. But on principle, right, we stood. Those were the things that we learned from Rushdie Majid. Rushdie was just someone that you wanted to emulate. I can remember when I played my first Cities game, I was at Hewitt, and Rushdie was a captain of Cities. And the first instruction, we had this cockerel from Western Province country. I don't know if you people can remember him. A fisherman, groot ou, lang hare, and he was giving us hard times up front. And Rushdie told me, nou, but ek Hewitt, ek kom maar nou eers, ek is seker 20, 21, Rushdie said, hey, Arab, kom hier. Vang sy vir hom om sy nek en bring hom grond toe, en hou hom daar tot ek klaar is met hom. Nou, ek kyk die man so aan, ek dink, ek moet maar, seker maar hoor ook nou wat die ou sê. Nou, kyk ek wat Cockerel aan, Cockerel is 'n bietjie groter as ek dink. So when they threw the ball to the back in the line out, en Cockerel draai so om, en ek het hom by die kolle grond toe, en ek hou hom vas, en ek voel net my hele skouer raak lam. Toe is dit Rushdie wat misgeskop het vir Cockerel. Skop my skouer, en ek wil nog vir Cockerel los, hy sê, wag, hou hom nog altyd, en Rushdie skop die man hier 10 aan sy kop, af van die veld. En toe sê, nou ouens, nou kan ons die game lekker wen. There's many lessons that we learned from people like Rushdie. But Rushdie wasn't an angel. I can tell you that. Potty told me the other night, Potty, kan ek maar vertel? Sy het my gesê of ek kan vertel. Hy stories. Rushdie en Joa hulle speel SVD, toe kom hulle laat vir die bus. Die bus moet al ry al, maar hulle het seker nog goodbye gehad sê vir van die mense daar so, en toe hulle in die bus klim, en nou Potty sit toe lang, Potty is nog baie jonger, en Potty is baie bang vir Rushdie gewees, nog altyd Potty. Ek gaan maar sê wat sy het my vertel, Rushdie, he told me this, toe kom Potty langs aan Rushdie sit, en Rushdie kon lê, en Rushdie wil 'n sakdoek uit sy sak uithaal. Toe haal hy 'n vrou se wig uit sy sak uit. Ek weet nie hoe waar daai storie is nie, maar Potty het aangegaan. everything for rugby. And Rusdi, well done. We learned so much from you. A thoroughbred, a gentleman off the field. And on the field, it's just, you know, he transforms into a great role model that we all emulate and we want to follow. He also started the Primrose Cricket Club. I think there was a Muslims cricket club you played for. And at that time, it was very, very difficult. You know, at William Herbert, I think the cricket there, you know, there was still this friction between faiths. And I think Joa and Rusdi came to really do a lot to repair that. And especially Joa at City Park. We had the wrong notion and the wrong attitude and approach to things. But these two really, really did a lot for sport, not only for Primroses, but sport in general. Mr. Abrams I met when I was practice teaching at Hewitt, and he was my role model as a teacher at Athlone High. And there I could see the caliber of person Joa was and is. I've always tried to emulate him as a teacher, as a leader, and we couldn't go wrong with that. So, to Mr. Abrams, you know, for everything that you have done, you have sacrificed your life for this club. Still, obviously, we'll go the extra mile. We say shukran. We appreciate what both of you have done to ensure that all of us can be here today and sing your praises and continue doing so for years to come. If you can kindly come forward, please. Potty, if you can come. Sy het net oor aandag vir Rusdi. Laat Rusdi aan met kant.
Yeah, I can. Okay, this is the Odis for long service to Primrose Rugby Club, namely to Uncle Rusdi and Uncle Yusuf. Blessed we were to be graced with your presence for so many years of continued hard work, sacrifice, and determination to invest in our club, our members and community. We applaud you for your loyalty. We commend you for all your successes on and off the field. And we thank you for being a role model to many of us. May you bless abundantly for years to come from the bottom of our hearts, and sincere thanks from the ex-players of Primrose Rugby Club. Shukran so much. He's been a convener of selectors for Cricket South Africa. So this man has gone to the top, alhamdulillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm not going to outdo you, Faizel. Don't worry, I'm going to be very, very short. First of all, it has been my very long association with Primrose Rugby and Cricket. This has been one fantastic occasion. I think what we have achieved today is just amazing. And I think we should continue looking at occasions like this to keep our families together. My purpose was always to keep the children together with the junior cricket, junior rugby, and I think we should continue doing this so that we can protect our children in this very fast period. Thank you very much. It was an honor to be present, and inshallah, we will see in the future what we can do. Okay.
MashaAllah, shukran so much, Uncle Rusdi. And I just got the news that United beat Primroses this morning. United were bowled out for, Primrose were bowled out for 108 and United scored 109. Alhamdulillah. Shukran, Mr. So without any further ado, I call on Uncle Sadiq Galant, Mr. Rashad Majid doing the closing, and then we'll have something to eat, inshallah. Bismillah.
Shukran. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. I think we must first of all pay tribute to Mr. Zach Davids, who's come down from Utenate. Mr. Davids, where is Mr. Davids? Welcome and thank you for coming here. Dis daarom 'n Primrose stalwart. Ons stel nog nie begin te try wat die Skopje Stadium op Athlone Stadium. I've been given the worst task to perform, and that is to pay homage to players who has passed on, to players who are no longer with us, but whose memories will forever linger on with us. Glo vir my, when we called on people to submit names of people who passed away, I was shocked by the amount of players that we had actually lost over the few years. Over 100 players. Name, 3 blaaie vol name. Ek wil eers begin lees het. What we should do, I suggest we do, is somehow develop a plaque in the Primrose Hall or wherever, where we actually have these names written down on a plaque, and it can be added onto, because believe you me, it's going to be added onto rather than be taken away. Like I said, I'm not going to call out any names. It's not going to be fair of me to call out some names and not the others. I want to say, may Allah bless all those players who are highest placed in Jannah, inshallah, who played with us, who gave us great joy by entertaining us, okay? Entertaining us on and off the field. Ons nou characters, okay, al die soort characters, ons weet nie wie is niks nie. But inshallah, I suggest that we do this annually, that we actually just get together annually, where we can just come together, say hello to one another. It doesn't have to be as big as this one. Even if we just make a date to see one another again sometime, there was nothing more beautiful than to get here and to actually have and see everyone. There are certainly players that have missed out the opportunity, that will also love to have been here. And I just want to say to all of you who organized this tremendous function, there were people who worked very hard behind the scenes. To you guys, thank you very much. This was about getting us together again, acknowledging those who played a role in our lives, those who are here, like your Ruzi, like your Jawars. There are many others also that we may not be mentioning, Maile Amma. Ek sien almal die mense voor my. And these are all people who played huge roles in our lives. Whether hulle was gereed met die trok na die veld toe, met 'n bus later in, met 'n lorry eerste, they all played a role in our lives. We grew up under their wings. Ons het uit die Claremont gekom, ons het minder gehad, maar ons was happy. Ons het die baie gehad, maar ons was baie happy. Okay? Those were the roads in which we learned our sport and where our role models taught us. Okay? To all of them who's no longer with us, who cannot share this day, we continuously will make dua for them, inshallah. And to all of you who are here, I pay tribute to all of you who are still alive, who are still with us, and can enjoy this time. Let us enjoy the rest of the day. Shukran, salam.
Shukran so much, Mr. Sadiq Khalan, for that wonderful words. So without any further ado, we're going to call on Mr. Rashad Majid to do the thank you and the closing of this wonderful function. There's just a small presentation that the players wants to do to somebody. So just before Rashad, Mr. Lucan has a small presentation.
Assalamu alaikum, shukran. I don't know if my good friend has one, but I've got a new tie that I want to present to him, to Riyad Najah, for his good work he's done in connection with this function.
MashaAllah, well done, Mr. Lucan, and thank you, Mr. Najah. I hand you over to Mr. Rashad Majid. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've got a big job to do, short one. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this 70s, 80s reunion, players function.
It's something that started off very small, but it blown up to in big proportions. So it's something that, as we said, we're going to try to have it every year under the auspices of Primrose Rugby Football Club, inshallah. Now, on behalf of the organizing committee, and on my own behalf, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the speakers, Mr. Fuadini, Mr. Faizel Hugo, Kadapi, and also the people that got the awards, Mr. Jawa Abrams, Rushdie Majid, Yusuf Jacobs, Adnan Bulli. Did I forget somebody? Oh, Mr. A. Mwis, inshallah. All right, so we also like to acknowledge our gratitude to the sponsors of, that made this event possible. Rashid, Konrad Poti, Musa Memen, Shaki Galant, Ibrahim Galant, Maki Isaacs, Shireen, wife of Ismail Maila Adams, Grassy Park, Rushdie Harper, Riyad Najjar, Sharif Abbas, and also I would like to thank Sadika, who's sitting there at the back, the secretary of Livingston, and also the principal of Livingston, Mrs. Ghani, that made this venue available to us. And finally, I'd like to take the opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to Mr. Najjar Arab and Basi, and I think Maki Isaacs that started this off at the beginning. Initiating the reunion, they started off and invited us to take part in this. It is something very good, something which brings us together, and we will take it further, inshallah. Okay, shukran.
You can sit here, Mr. Imam David. Shukran to you for honoring this.
Yeah. Shukran for this honor. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Probably not the best person here in the audience to be able to make the closing dua, but I will do my best under the circumstances. Also, I would like to thank the organizers and the club in general for giving me the privilege to be present, to be honored today, to be in the company, in the presence of those people, which I consider as legends, And this is a legacy, and I found it was very important for me to attend it. Despite the mileage, that was immaterial. What was more to me is, like somebody said earlier, it was the memories. I think Mr. Galant had said that. So I am of the few people, alhamdulillah, that had the privilege and the honor to play with the likes of Jawa Abrams, Rushdie Majid, Said Majid, Mervyn is sitting here. Mervyn, please. There we go. Mervyn, everybody knows Mervyn. And the likes, I can speak about Tassat Samoudin. Everybody knows Baba Galant, Hopi, that we knew, Hopi, Ubba, Domi we used to call him, And the list goes on. But I say I'm of the very few people that was privileged to play with these people. And I can tell you that my rugby career started with these people, and I was first made knowledgeable before my skills was taken into consideration. And therefore I have to take my hat off, and I will always respect them. And I'm not taking my hat off because I'm making dua, but I take my hat off to these gentlemen for their wonderful contribution that they have made. Shukran for giving me the opportunity. Al-Fatiha. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين الجنة للموحدين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم أنزل الرحمة على أهل القبور المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات يا الله الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب دعوة وقاضي الحاجات يا رب العالمين اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وسكنهم في الجنة الفردوس يا الله وتجاوز عن سيئاتهم واحشرهم مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين اللهم لا تحرمنا أجرهم ولا تفتنا بعدهم واغفر لنا ولهم وللمسلمين أجمعين يا رب العالمين. يا رب الناس لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك يا الله. اللهم اشف مرضانا يا الله وارحم موتانا يا الله، ولكل جميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الفقر، ولكل جميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات في المحيا والممات يا الله، وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا أرحم الراحمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. اللهم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين يا الله. اللهم ربنا تقبل دعاء يا الله. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا واغفر لنا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. والله give us the health, grant us our health inshallah. Our brother sitting over there inshallah, may Allah grant him, may Allah restore him back to good health inshallah. And all those in his position and all those in hospitals and all those who is not experiencing the best of health, and all al-marhumin, may Allah grant him the highest place in Jannah inshallah. My beloved brothers, once again, just make dua for me that I have a safe journey back home inshallah, and shukran for accepting me, and it was a privilege for me inshallah. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير واجعل عواقب أمورنا بالخير، بيدك الخير والعافية إنك على كل شيء قدير. دعوة فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحية فيها سلام وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. May Allah accept. تقبل الله منا ومنكم.
Ya Kareem. Yes, a big shukran to Uncle Adnan Bully and to Auntie Shireen for all the food and the cake. Shukran so much, Auntie Shireen. Bismillah wa la barakatillah. Shukran and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.